All right, welcome to Talking Investing. I'm Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. Today, I want to talk about the Bitcoin miners. I'm going to do a top 10 list. I want to go through the top 10 Bitcoin miners, and we're going to do this 5 different ways. After that, later in the video, I want to take a quick look at what's going on with the Bitcoin miners so far this year, and really over the last 6 or 7 trading days. So stay tuned. That'll be near the end of the video. If you're new to the channel, we talk about Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners all the time on this channel. So if that's content that you enjoy, please consider hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell. And of course, if everybody could please smash the like button, we're going for 500 likes on this video. It helps out the video a lot, it helps out the channel a lot, and it's really appreciated. Okay, let's take a look at the Bitcoin miners. Okay, the first chart I want to look at is the Bitcoin miners production in the month of December. So there's a few things that jump off the page. You're going to see I've listed the top 10. The number on the bottom is where they ranked last month. At the very left side of this chart, you're also going to see Core Scientific. Now, Core Scientific has been in Chapter 11 all of the year 2023, so I've left them out of the count, but I do like to show what they're doing. So you'll see they did mine over 1,000 Bitcoin, 1,177 Bitcoin. I think by the end of January, they will be out of Chapter 11. When that happens and they're traded on the NASDAQ again, I will put them back into the top 10 list. For now, I'm showing you the information on the sidelines. Number 1 on this list was Marathon. Again, this is the month of December. Marathon mined 1,853 Bitcoin in the month of December. That was by far their all-time biggest month. It was a 56% increase month over month. Not only was this Marathon's biggest month, this was the largest month for a Bitcoin miner that's publicly traded out of all the Bitcoin miners for the last 3 years. There were some reasons that they had such a huge number. We will go through that later. And also, if you're interested in what's going on with Marathon, I did do a Marathon deep dive video a few days ago, so you can check that out on the channel as well. So Marathon was in first place by a mile with 1,853 Bitcoin. In second place in the month of December was Cleanspark. So you're going to see they have been in second place almost every month of the year this year. Cleanspark had strong performance at 720 Bitcoin mined in the month of December. And then you're going to see RIOT in third place at 619. They remain in third place just like last month. If you want to see a deep dive on RIOT, I did a deep dive on RIOT a few days ago as well. There's an awful lot going on there. So if you're interested in that company, I do think that is worth checking out. So you can check that out on the channel as well. So after third place at 619, you'll see there's a little bit of a drop off. 2024 is going to be very interesting. You're going to see Cypher in 4th, Hut in 5th, Bitfarms in 6th, and BitDeer in 7th at very, very close to the same number. All of those companies have some growth plans in 2024. Some of them are significant growth plans. So depending on how effective they are at implementing their growth plans, some of these companies may be able to separate themselves and move up this list. In 9th place, we have TerraWolf at 334 Bitcoin. And then in 10th place, we have Hive Blockchain at 283 Bitcoin. I will say, after you get through the top 10, there's a pretty big drop off to 11th place. You go down almost 100 Bitcoin, and then it just goes down from there. So really, these 10 companies, including Core Scientific, these 11 companies have separated themselves from the rest of the pack, but we're going to see how 2024 goes. Obviously, this is December of 2023, so we have the whole year this year to see how things shake out, and I do expect some big moves this year. Okay, so this is just the month of December. Let's take a look at year to date. These will be the final numbers for the year 2023. Okay, so in the top 10, you're going to see I did include Core Scientific on this list. So they finished just ahead of Marathon. So Core Scientific mined 13,762 Bitcoin. Marathon finished just behind them at 12,853. That was second place. But I will say, for the last several months in a row, Marathon has been mining significantly more than Core Scientific. They have been in first place on a monthly basis for several months in a row. So right now, in my opinion, they are the odds-on favorite to finish in first place for the year in 2024. I know we're only a week into the year, so it's a little early to be making year-end predictions, but it looks like they have set themselves up to be the number 1 Bitcoin miner from a production standpoint for the year 2024. But again, there's all year left, so we're going to keep a close eye on all this and see what happens. Okay, so then in third place is Cleanspark, and you're going to see it's a pretty gigantic drop-off. Cleanspark mined 7,391 Bitcoin. That was an excellent result from them, a big increase year over year. Cleanspark does have 6 exahash they are expecting to come online in the next 45 days. So They should have a big jump in production versus their peers sooner than later, but we'll have to see. We know how these plans go. This has already been delayed about a month and a half, so we will see if they're able to hit their target at mid-February or if this continues to get delayed. But then we go to Riot Blockchain. Riot mined 6,619 Bitcoin. One of the things worth noting is they did finish in 4th place, a little bit behind Cleanspark. However, Riot does intentionally curtail and send energy back to the grid, and they get paid a lot of money to do that. They got paid over $70 million in energy credits in the year 2023. That was their biggest energy credit year by quite some margin, so that does skew their numbers a little bit. It's going to be interesting to see in 2024 who finishes ahead, either Cleanspark or Riot. And then you're going to see after that we have another fairly significant drop off, about 16 or 1700 Bitcoin less. We have Cypher and Bitfarms in almost an absolute tie. This was actually pretty incredible. Over the course of an entire year, Cypher and Bitfarms ended up just 2 Bitcoin apart year to date. So Cypher mined 4,930 Bitcoin in the year 2023. Bitfarms mined 4,928. Almost basically a statistical tie. Technically, Cypher did finish in 5th. Bitfarms finished in 6th. Both of those companies have big growth plans. Bitfarms looks like if they execute their growth plans, I am expecting them to move up this list, potentially jump 1 or 2 people, but we'll see what happens. Obviously, one of the big things to keep our eye on in 2024, a lot of these companies announced gigantic purchase orders and big growth plans. So their ability to stay on track and implement those and perform at a high level, operationally speaking, is going to dictate where they finish on this list in 2024. These are the final numbers for 2023. We're going to see how things shake out in 2024. Obviously, next month, we will begin a new list again from a year-to-date standpoint, and we'll see where things start to go. Okay, the next way I'm looking at this is by exahash. So this is the top 10 list of Bitcoin miners based on the amount of exahash that they have energized. Now, all of these companies don't necessarily run at 100% capacity every month, so on a monthly basis, from an operational standpoint, they may not hit these target numbers, but these are the number of machines that they own, they're plugged in, they are energized and available for production. So again, in purple, you're going to see Core Scientific at 16.9 exahash. It is worth noting they are now adding to their exahash. For most of 2023, their exahash was shrinking a little bit as they were reorganizing and trying to get themselves out of Chapter 11. In December, they actually added a bunch of exahash and got themselves up to 16.9 exahash. If they get back onto this list in January, then they will be in 2nd place. There are several companies with growth plans in 2024 that are definitely going to challenge Core Scientific. Okay, so Core Scientific notwithstanding, Riot is in 2nd place. So you're going to see it's a distant 2nd place. At 12.4 exahash, that's just a little bit more than half of the exahash that Marathon has energized and up and running. So you can see why Marathon's production is so much more than all the rest of the Bitcoin miners. A lot of these miners, I do believe, will close the gap quite a bit in 2024. Again, I don't think any of them will actually catch Marathon, but I do think we're going to see a lot more interesting race here in 2024. Cleanspark right now is at 10.1 exahash, but like I said, they are about to energize 6 additional exahash, so sometime they anticipate in February, they're going to jump up to 16 exahash. Cypher is at 7.2 exahash. They have already announced plans for growth significantly beyond that in the year 2024. HUT is now at 7.2 exahash. They just jumped back onto this list with their merger in December. They are now back as a top 10 miner. They have not made any announcements as to what their growth plans are for 2024, other than to say that they do expect to grow. So I will tell you guys, I am anticipating sometime in the next 30 to 45 days, I'm expecting some press releases from HUT giving us a little clarity as to what their growth plans are for 2024. BitDeer's in 6th place at 6.7 exahash. They actually went backwards a little bit. They retired a bunch of machines that were aging, that were not really going to be profitable after the halving. We're only about 3.5 months away from the halving, so they are beginning their shift in preparation for the halving. Bitfarms right now is at 6.5 exahash, so they have plans very quickly to get to 12 exahash, and then by the end of 2024 to get to 17 exahash. So we're going to see, I expect them to move way up this list this year. Iris Energy is in 8th place with 5.6 exahash. They have also had a series of announcements of purchase orders. They have purchase ordered machines to get them to 10.0 exahash already. They have plans to go well beyond that. TeraWolf is just behind in 9th place at 5.5 exahash. They've announced some plans to get to 7.9 exahash and then beyond. And then in 10th place is Hive Blockchain. They are at 4 exahash. They've made several purchases of Bitcoin miners as well. Right now, they've purchased their way up to 6 exahash. They've talked about getting to 8 exahash in the year 2024. So by the end of the year 2024, I would expect that the vast majority, if not all, of the top 10 Bitcoin miners will have at least 10 exahash. And I would think that at least half of these are going to be somewhere over 15 and a bunch of them over 20. So this list is going to grow dramatically in the year 2024 if these companies can execute the plans they already have in motion. And as I mentioned, more than half of these have already purchase ordered, and a bunch of them have already paid for the Bitcoin mining machines to get them to their target goals. Okay, quickly, before I go to the next list, I just want to show November versus December. All month in the month of December, I said that I expect the entire top 10 list to outperform their November numbers. And there was a reason for that. The fees in December had escalated to one of the highest levels they've ever been at. So as a result of that, the production numbers for the Bitcoin miners did go up quite a bit. This was expected. We talked about this all month, but I just wanted to show you, these are the final numbers. So in blue, you'll see the November production numbers for each of these top 10 Bitcoin miners. And then in green, you're going to see their December numbers. So you're going to see that in every single instance, all of the top 10 Bitcoin miners, and really the top 11, including Core Scientific, all of them had a better December than they did November. Obviously, Marathon was the runaway winner. They were up 56% month over month. Most of these miners were up anywhere from maybe 8 to 15%, which was a little bit more in line with the additional fees. So just quickly, I wanted to show you what's going on with the fees. If we take a look at the fees that are going on right now, these are the fees on January 6th. I'm making this Saturday night. You guys may not see this until Monday. Right now, the fees are all above a half a Bitcoin, but on this page, you know, the last 10 or 15 are all under 1 Bitcoin. So these are still very, very healthy fees. These are probably triple or quadruple the normal fees, but in December, we had some real anomalies. I want to go back to the middle of December. This is December 14th. So if we look at this page of fees, almost every single block had a fee above 1.5 Bitcoin. So that is dramatically more than the average fees over the last several years. Even the fees we're getting right now, which are about between a half and 3/4 of a Bitcoin, are very high on a historical basis. But you can see if I scroll down this page, a lot of these fees were even over 2.5 Bitcoin per block. There were several over 3. There was even one over 4. If I searched for it, there was actually one block that was over 7 Bitcoin in fees. So this is one of the reasons that all of these Bitcoin miners had such a fantastic December. So as we look at the December numbers, when we see the January numbers, it's entirely possible some of the Bitcoin miners may not mine as much in January of 2024 as they did in December 2023. That will not be an unexpected or disappointing result if all they've done is drop back in proportion to the amount that the fees have been cut back. That's just a little heads up in anticipation of next month's analysis. The next way to look at these is how efficient were these Bitcoin miners. This is a simple calculation. I take the average amount of exahash they had during the month and divide the number of Bitcoin by that average. So this is the amount of Bitcoin that each of these companies mined per exahash. Okay, so in December, in first place was Marathon. They mined 77 Bitcoin per exahash. This was the only month of the year that Marathon finished in first place. They've been middle of the pack or lower for most of the year, but December was just absolutely a spectacular month for them. The next 4 Bitcoin miners I put in this lighter blue color because for almost every single month of this year, these 4 Bitcoin miners finished in the top 4 spots. I do not expect Marathon to outperform these 4 next month. So you can see Bitfarms, Hive, and Iris Energy were tied for second place. There were several months of the year that these 3 were tied for first place. These 4 companies have been extremely close. And then you're going to see TeraWulf at 67, Cypher at 65, BitDeer at 63, and Hut at 62. So actually this top 10 list has gotten a lot tighter. There used to be gigantic discrepancies. It seems like a lot of these companies are getting more and more efficient. They worked on their efficiency all year in 2023 in anticipation of the fact that the halving is only a few months away, and efficiency is going to be crucial after the halving. Obviously, the Bitcoin reward gets cut in half as far as the number of newly minted Bitcoins for each block solved. So it will become increasingly important for these companies to be highly efficient. Now, in last place, in 10th place, is Riot. They were significantly lower than their peers. They mined 50 Bitcoin per exahash. So again, if you're interested and you want to hear more about that, I did do a deep dive on Riot and I discussed this, so you can check that out. I did that just a few days ago. The last thing that I'm going to look at is the amount of Bitcoin that these companies are hodling. The first thing that you're going to notice is there's only 9 on this list. There's really only 9 companies that have any significant amount of Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Some of these companies don't report. Some of these companies have let us know that they do not hodl Bitcoin and they sell their Bitcoin each month. DMG Blockchain is in 9th place, and you'll see they are in a different color blue because this is actually their November number. As of the time I'm making this, they have not reported their December results yet. So their number's been fairly consistent, so we will have to wait and see. If they give a surprise December number, then I will revise and let everybody know. There are 3 companies that by far and away have the biggest hodl position, and these top 3 have been number 1, 2, and 3 in this order for every single month of the entire year, and really all of 2022 as well. So nobody has been able to crack into this top 3 list over the last 2 years. So Marathon remains in first place. They are now over 15,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. As of the end of the year, they ended the year with 15,174 Bitcoin. So Hut is in second place. They ended the year with 9,195 Bitcoin. And Riot is in third place with 7,362 Bitcoin. So those have been the top 3. And you'll see after those top 3, there is a significant drop-off. There is one more company that I want to talk about that has been hodling a significant amount of Bitcoin and really could add themselves to this list, and there could be really a top 4, whereas right now there's really a top 3, and that company is CleanSpark. CleanSpark hodled over 500 Bitcoin in the month of December. They now have over 300 Bitcoin on their balance sheet at the end of the year. Just 4 or 5 months ago, CleanSpark had only 500 Bitcoin on their balance sheet, and that's a balance they maintained for about a year. They were selling the majority of their Bitcoin. So they did shift their philosophy, and they've been shifting it back and forth. So it will be interesting to see with the additional exahash that they have coming online, if they continue to hodl between now and the halving, they stand a legitimate chance of getting over 5,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet prior to the halving. And I mention that because in my personal opinion, I do think for at least the next year after the halving, these numbers are not going to change very much. It's going to be very difficult for companies to add a significant amount of Bitcoin to their hodl position. So for all of these companies, not just CleanSpark, the next 3 months is their best opportunity to add Bitcoin to their hodl position. So in 5th place is Hive at 1,707 Bitcoin. They did put out a press release that said they intend to try to hodl all of their Bitcoin that they mine between now and the halving. So they stand a chance at increasing their position as well. You know, even if they can add 1,000 or 1,500 Bitcoin, that would be a significant improvement. Once we get past that, we drop off. There's nobody else on this list that even has 1,000 Bitcoin in hodl. I will say, again, Bitfarms and Cypher are neck and neck at just around 800 Bitcoin, so it's possible they could get themselves over 1,000 prior to the halving. Beyond that, BitDigital's at around 600, and we talked about DMG Blockchain at 429, which was November's number. This is where everybody ended the year 2023. Again, I think that there's really only about 3 more months to add any significant amount to these positions. All right, that's the 5 different ways that I look at the top 10 Bitcoin miners on a monthly basis. I do want to take just 1 minute and show you guys the performance of the Bitcoin miners last week, which was the first trading week of the year 2024. 2023 was an absolutely spectacular year for most of the Bitcoin miners. As we know, 2022 was a crypto winter, and it was pretty much a disastrous year. So what do we have in store for 2024? Okay, so as we take a look at this, you're going to see the first week of the year did not start out very well. Bitcoin was actually up 5% last week, so that was a strong week. There were 2 Bitcoin miners that outperformed that. There were only 4 of the 19 Bitcoin miners that I follow on this channel that were even in the green. DMG Blockchain was up 13%, Core Scientific was up 12%, and as you can see, Bitcoin here in gold was up 5%. That was a very strong week for Bitcoin. So Bitcoin has started the year 2024 off with a strong week, but the Bitcoin miners lagged significantly behind. You're going to see Marathon was in the green, up 3%, and Mawson was up 1%. All of the rest of the Bitcoin miners were in the red last week. A lot of these miners were down between 10 and 20%. So this was a very tough start to the year 2024. Having said that, I am not discouraged in any way. I will tell you, I am bullish on Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners for the year 2024. But what I will say, as I've been saying for months and months, really all of the year 2023, I do think there will be winners and losers in this group. So I don't think every single one of these Bitcoin miners is going to the moon. But I do think Bitcoin's going to have a strong year. And I do think the best of these companies will outperform Bitcoin this year, as they did in 2023. So obviously, we're just 1 week into the year. The first week was a tough week, but we got 51 weeks left, and I am expecting good things. So not financial advice. That's just how I'm looking at the world here at the beginning of 2024. So drop down in the comments what you guys are thinking. What's your expectation for the year? If you made it this far, please remember to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Also, if everybody could smash the like button, it does help the channel out a lot. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.